We knew that as soon as Toyota introduced the new Grand Highlander 3-row crossover SUV, that a Lexus version probably wasn't going to be too far behind, and we were right. Here it is. This is the new 2024 Lexus TX. Lexus is running out of letters. Look, so eventually you're going to get something that happened like this. TX is going to be their new big 3-row, 7-passenger crossover, the biggest Lexus that they've ever made. And they've brought us here to Austin, Texas, to drive the new Lexus TX and to see exactly how good a new Lexus built out of the Toyota Grand Highlander can be. It certainly looks a lot more Lexus-y than the Toyota Grand Highlander does, and that's due in large part to this front-end styling. No more Lexus spindle grille, you've now got the Lexus spindle body. The entire vehicle takes its cues from this angular front end. And this really is, I think, the best iteration yet of the Lexus spindle grille. It certainly looks a lot cleaner, it's no longer crazy imposing, it integrates a lot better into the rest of the vehicle. Now the TX is going to come in 3 different grades, the TX 350, the TX 500H Hybrid, and the top TX 550H Plus. That Lexus styling carries over into the back of the TX as well, where you've got the traditional Lexus bar-style taillights that you'll see on a number of other Lexus vehicles in the showroom. But a couple of different interesting tidbits here as well. You've got this blacked-out body panel right here that all the TXs are going to have. You've also got some blacked-out trim on the doors and on the roof rails as well. Now that's specifically for the F-Sport performance models, gives it a more murdered-out, sporty look. The wheels will either be 20 or 22 inches. 20 is standard, 22s are optional, but 22s come with this F-Sport performance model as well. Now that's both a good and bad thing in terms of they look good, but that can also lead to some ride quality issues that we'll talk about a little bit later. The more interesting thing about the F-Sport performance model is that it also comes with standard 4-wheel steering, which is something you really only find in a lot more expensive vehicles than this. It can turn the rear wheels up to 4 degrees opposite the front wheels to aid in a lot of low-speed parking lot maneuvers to tighten up the turning circle quite a lot, or it can turn those wheels in the same direction as the front wheels, but only make maybe a little less than half a degree in order to really aid in agility and higher speed highway maneuvers when changing lanes. We could talk about the styling of the TX all day long, but its raison d'etre, its reason for being, is this second and third row. This is ostensibly a replacement for the Lexus RXL, which was a 7-passenger crossover, but not the best solution to providing that kind of a vehicle for the Lexus brand, and Lexus knew that. That's why they were waiting for this. The TX is specifically designed, engineered, and built for North America. It's only going to be sold here too, according to the brand. So they designed this thing specifically for how American families use big 3-row crossovers. And as such, you've got a lot of room back here in the second and third row. Now, this model has second-row captain's chairs, but you can get a full 3-passenger bench back here for that full 7-passenger seating. To enter into the third row, you push the button on the top of the second-row seats, they slide forward, and you have a fairly large opening to get into that third row. The third row has room for 2 full-sized human beings, which is fantastic. Not something you often see in big full-sized crossovers. So you can actually use this thing for 7 full-sized adults. Along with the extra width and height and size of the TX over the RX comes a boost to its cargo room as well. Now Lexus says that with these third row seats up, you can fit 7 people in here and 7 normal rollerboard suitcases. And the nice part is, they're also power reclining and folding as well, which is not a feature you can actually get in the Toyota Grand Highlander. On the inside of the new Lexus TX, it's okay. It's really not that much more impressive than the Toyota Grand Highlander. I mean, the material quality really doesn't look any better. The shapes aren't any better. The switches are actually pretty similar to the ones you see on the top Toyota, but it costs significantly more. So you see a lot of sharing between Toyota and Lexus, which makes sense, but this is no longer really a brand that's doing special things with its vehicles. It's very much become a near luxury mainstream brand, no longer really, I think, a rival for things like Mercedes-Benz. Case in point, you look at these gauges, they're actually rather simple. They look very much like the Toyota Grand Highlander gauges. They're not the easiest to see. They're actually kind of small, and the resolution is okay, but nothing terribly great. You do have this great big 14-inch touchscreen here, which is nice, but also you get a large one in the Grand Highlander as well, and it's running pretty much the same system that it is in Toyota as well. This just has a slightly more Lexus-y font to it, but it is pretty much the same system. The climate controls are all touch sensitive as well, which is suboptimal, but they are large buttons, so it actually is easy to see and the spot where you really want to touch on this touchscreen. The TX will come in 3 different grades. This one that I'm driving right now is the TX 500H F Sport Performance. Now that's a lot of words, but it's the mid-level hybrid version. It comes with a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. All-wheel drive is standard, and it's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. It uses a nickel-metal hydride battery, and this powertrain is very similar to the one you can get in the Toyota Grand Highlander, except it makes just a couple horsepower more. 366 horsepower in the Lexus TX 500H. Versus I think it's like 362 or something like that in the Grand Highlander. So pretty much the same powertrain as well. The thing that comes across more than anything is that it's not as quiet as you might think it should be, despite the fact that this has active noise cancellation and special tuning to try and make sure that it is Lexus quiet. It's not. You get a lot of road noise through this thing because it has 22-inch wheels and tires. It's really hard to mask a lot of that kind of road noise. 20 inches are standard on the TX and the 350, but 22s are going to be the optional size in various different patterns depending on which trim level you get. Acceleration is really very good, especially in this one. It's supposedly a little like 6.1 seconds from 0 to 60, which is pretty respectable for a vehicle this size. Handling in this model in particular is really quite good. It is the F-Sport performance model. All of the 500H hybrids are going to be F-Sports as well. So you get things like 4-wheel steering in this model. You get things like the adaptive suspension that you can adjust as well in different drive modes. It's meant to be a more sporting, more aggressive style of vehicle, which is kind of strange given that this is a 7-passenger family crossover. I don't know who's driving this thing aggressively and sportingly, but it has more of an aggressive feel to it and really excellent firmness to the steering. It's not vague, it doesn't wander, so it's overall a decent driving experience in here. Just wish it was a little bit quieter. You do have good visibility out of the TX. You're actually sitting up fairly high. The seats don't really lower as much as you might potentially want them to, but you do have the benefit of good visibility in that regard. Sides, front, even to the rear. The window glass is very tall, and so you have a lot of ability to see all the way around you. This one also has the rear camera mirror, which is a great feature for a vehicle that hauls a lot of people and cargo and things. The Lexus has said that you can fit 7 people in this vehicle, plus 7 regular rollerboard-sized suitcases. But if you do that, you can't see out the back window using just a normal mirror. You flip this up, now you've got the camera mirror. It doesn't matter who's behind you. This thing just is basically a rear view camera that's always on. Takes some getting used to. I mean, we've seen this in a lot of other vehicles as well. You do have to change your focus and your perspective when you're looking at what's in front of you versus what's behind you, because you're no longer looking all the way back, you're just looking at this screen. So it takes a little getting used to, but frankly, for a vehicle that is meant to carry a whole lot of people and stuff, this is what you really want to have. Currently, we're behind the wheel of the Lexus TX 350 front-wheel drive model, the base engine as well, the standard 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 275 horsepower, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And I have to say, it's perfectly adequate. It moves things uphill without a problem. It's quiet in doing so. You don't have the hybrid operation, so there's no electric-only operation at lower speeds, which you do see in the TX 500H. But it's perfectly calm. It actually feels pretty much like a Grand Highlander or a Lexus RX. It's not remarkable. It certainly doesn't feel terribly luxurious either. The ride is actually better in the 350 than it is in the 500H F Sport with the adaptive suspension. I think that's due to the 20-inch wheels on this model versus the 22s in very low-profile rubber on the 500H. But the ride quality is really quite excellent. Handling is not quite as sharp, but then again, you don't have the F-Sport performance suspension, so you don't have that same level of sportiness to it, but it's still adequate. For what this thing is going to be, a people hauler, you're not going to want to make the kids sick in the back seat. You're not going to want to scare grandma on the way to Sunday dinner. So I understand making this thing a luxury cruiser as opposed to a sporty crossover. It doesn't need to be sporty. It needs to be luxurious. But is it that much better than a Grand Highlander or an RX? And honestly, I don't think it is. Again, it comes back to how luxurious is this? And you're not getting that much more for your money. This one costs nearly $67,000. That's a full 10 grand or so more than you'd spend on a top Toyota Grand Highlander. So that becomes a problem because it's not necessarily that much better. Is it bigger and better than an RX? Yes. If you are only considering stepping up from an RX to this TX, then yeah, this is going to be a decent upgrade. You'll probably be happy with it. But if you're cross-shopping this thing against other things, even within the Toyota portfolio, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to justify. So the third and final trim level is this one. This is the 2024 Lexus TX 550h Plus plug-in hybrid. And it might look the same on the inside. It's a little bit nicer, it's a little bit different. This isn't an F-Sport model. It's not available as an F-Sport model either yet. So it's got a little bit more comfortable seats, it's got slightly different upholstery, but the big difference is what's under the hood. This model uses a 3.5 liter V6 mated to an electric powertrain on the rear axle, and that is combined with a lithium-ion battery and a continuously variable transmission to provide a plug-in hybrid option for the TX lineup. Now, it can go 33 miles on electric power alone, according to Lexus, although unfortunately this one is depleted, so it's not doing anything electric only. It is running the gas engine, but it's also the quickest version of the TX as well. And despite it having a CVT, which, you know, some people like CVTs, some people don't like CVTs, I'm indifferent on them. It is fairly responsive, and when you put your foot down, you get a piped-in growl from under the hood, and it actually moves pretty smartly. Not so bad. It does feel heavier than other models we tried, especially than the base model TX 350 front-wheel drive that I drove prior to this one. That one felt a lot lighter, a little bit more tossable. This one feels considerably heavier, a little bit more ponderous in corners. It even rides a little bit differently, but for some reason it also feels a lot quieter, which I thought is interesting as well. You're not getting much in the way of engine or powertrain or even road noise in this one at all either. I mean, they all have active noise control to some degree, but apparently it's working pretty well in this one, so this one actually feels a little bit more luxurious than the others do, for sure. The new 2024 Lexus TX 350 and 500h hybrid are going to be arriving in showrooms later this year. Now, if you're wanting a TX 550h Plus, that's not arriving until early 2024. Now, as for pricing, the TX 350 is going to start at about $55,000. And if you load up a TX 500h F-Sport Performance Luxury version, you're looking at something closer to nearly $80,000, which is quite a lot of money. Now, is it really worth it, that much more than a Toyota Grand Highlander? That's going to be up to you. You're really just pretty much paying for that Lexus badge and a couple of extra features that you can't get on the Grand Highlander. But in terms of interior quality, in terms of powertrain, in terms of amenities, in terms of just how nice it is, there isn't that much difference, in my opinion, between the Toyota and the Lexus. Now, when we have pricing for the new TX 550h Plus, which is coming next year, you'll see that and so much more information about the new Lexus lineup on Cars.com. You like seeing videos about new Lexus vehicles? Well, make sure you click those like and subscribe buttons and hit that notification bell, and you will be notified every time Cars.com uploads a new video.